the scholars who are very keen in clearing the NET examination. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Let me share my PPT now. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
Okay. Shall I proceed?
Okay, ma'am.
So this is the chapter, this is the unit which has been given for me to cover the general paper 1. The unit number is 9, which deals with people, development and environment. Let us see what are the contents are there in this unit. Main focus is given for the development and environment, which includes the two major components, the concepts, that is Millennium Development and Sustainable Development Goals. And the next one is human and environment interaction, in which we are going to discuss about many anthropogenic activities and their impacts on environment. And then the environmental issues at the local level, regional level, as well as at the global level. So which deals with all kinds of pollution, climatic change, the socio-economic and political dimensions of all these environmental issues. And then we here the content is on impact of pollutants on human health, and it also deals with natural and energy resources, which includes the solar, wind, soil, hydro, geothermal, biomass, nuclear and forest resources. And we are going to discuss about the natural hazards and disasters and the mitigation strategies. And the last one is Environmental Protection Act 1986, and the various, which includes the various protocols and the conferences regarding the environment. Let me start with the first concept, that is Millennium Development Goals. Today we are talking about the Sustainable Development Goals. Before the Sustainable Development Goals, this Millennium Development Goal has been created by the United Nations, which has been created in the intention to create welfare among the students, welfare among the public. And here the United Nations created this MDP, that is Millennium Developmental Goal, in the year 2000. And under this, 191 United Nations member countries, they have accepted to attain these goals. And the main aim of this MDG is to achieve it by 2015. So there are 22 international organizations which are committed to help United Nations member countries to achieve the Millennium Development Goals. Altogether, they have listed out 8 international development goals which has to be achieved before the year of 2015. Let us see what are those 8 Millennium Development Goals. The first goal is eradicate extreme poverty and hunger. The second goal is achieve universal primary education. The third goal is promote gender equality and empower women. The fourth one is reduce child mortality. The fifth one is improve maternal health. Sixth one is combat HIV, AIDS, malaria, and other diseases. Ensure environmental sustainability. And the last one is develop a global partnership for development. So here in this concept, we have to keep the major points that this has been created by UN. So if the question is asked, who has created Millennium Development Goal, it is created by UN. What is the year? It is in the year 2000. And then you have to remember the number, how many United Nations members have included to attain this goal. That is 191. And along with this 191, there are other 22 international organizations which are ready to give their hands to attain these goals. What is the deadline of achieving this goal is 2015. Since we have not yet attained the 8 Millennium Development Goals by the year 2015, we have moved on to the other goal, that is called as Sustainable Development Goals. Here in Millennium Development Goal, we have the specific targets, and all the 8 goals are measured by 18 targets. So in this International Monetary Fund, African Development Bank, heavily indebted poor countries, all these are the funding agencies which are ready to fund for the developing countries who are financially backward in order to achieve all these 8 goals. The target of this MDGs is to coverage with India's own development goals to reduce poverty. So we are focused, mainly India has focused to reduce poverty and other areas of deprivations. So the other than reducing poverty, reducing hunger, and reducing gender disparity, and increasing the educational rate. And also India is providing clean drinking water. However, access to sanitation facilities remains inadequate. So the next one is the Sustainable Development Goals. As I told you earlier, this Millennium Development Goals has to be attained in the year of 2015. Since we have not yet attained in the year of 2015, we have moved on to the other goal, which is Sustainable Development Goal, which is also been started by UN conference, which was held up in Rio de Janeiro. So we all very aware of this Rio de Janeiro summit, Rio summit. Here I have given RIO plus 20. That means after Rio de Janeiro, after 20 years of this Rio de Janeiro summit, this sustainable development goals have been framed. So here the Rio de Janeiro, the Rio summit was held in Brazil, and in the year 2012, this sustainable development goals have been framed. So the outcome document of this sustainable development goal is the future we want. This is the major theme on which the Rio summit has, the Rio conference at Brazil has taken place. So here open working groups, 30 member states were included in this, were attended this Rio de Janeiro conference, and then they have proposed the sustainable development goals in the year 2014. And as per the agenda, this sustainable development goals has to be achieved by the year of 2030. So it has been adopted in the year September, in the year 2015, September 25. And it came into effect in the year January 2016, and the time period, the time frame that we have is 2016 to 2030. So the aim of SDS is to achieve it by 2030. So here in SDS, they have listed out 17 goals. In Millennium Development Goals, we had eight goals. Here in Sustainable Development Goals, we have 17 goals and 169 targets and 247 indicators. So here in Millennium Development Goals, we have 21 targets and 60 indicators. Here 17 goals, 169 targets and 247 indicators. So let us see what are the 7 sustainable development goals. The number 1 is no poverty. So no poverty.
Kindly repeat the last slide. Kindly repeat the last slide. Yes, ma'am, this slide.
Ma'am, shall I proceed?
So ma'am, can you once again give overview of this slide kindly?
Today we are talking about sustainable development goals. Earlier we had Millennium Development Goals. The Millennium Development Goal was replaced by Sustainable Development Goal. Why we have moved on to this is because we have been attained all the 8 goals by the year of 2015. So there was a conference held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, which is called as Rio Summit. In that, the major theme on which the conference was held is the future we want. So here they have decided to create sustainable development goals, which include 17 goals. Earlier we had only 18 goals. All these 17 goals has to be achieved by the year of 2030. It was framed in the year 2015, but it has came into effect in the year of 2016. So our still we have time that before 2030 we have to achieve all the 17 goals. Let us see what are all the 17 goals here. The number 1 is no poverty. Number 2 is zero hunger. The third one is good health and well-being. And the fourth one is quality education. Number 5 is gender equality. See, all these terms are understood, I think. So that's why I'm rushing off, because I have made 77 slides. So we have a short time. So it is all self-explanatory. That's why I'm moving on one by one. No poverty, that we all know. So no one there should not be any economic crisis for any individual in this world. Zero hunger means there should not be a person who without hunger. And then good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality. It talks about there should not be any discrimination between men and women in case of education, in case of their status, in case of their position, economy, in all aspects. There should be equality in gender. Clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduce inequalities, sustainable city and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice and strong institutions, partnerships for the goals. So these are the major 17 goals which was listed in SDS, which has to be achieved in the year of before 2030. So next, let us move on to the next topic, that is resources. So natural resources, we all know that resources are any material that is available in nature. We call it as a natural resources. So without resources, natural resources, we cannot imagine the life in the world. So here they become a part and partial of our life. So here the natural resources is classified into two major types. One is renewable resources, the other one is non-renewable resources. Here the renewable resources are nothing but they are the resources which have the innate potential to recycle or reproduce or replace within a reasonable time, and they will maintain in the environment, and it is available all through the year for all the living organism that is present in the environment. We call such resources as renewable resources. The word itself says a renewable, renew. So it can be reformed, it can be renewed. It cannot be depleted in the nature. So all the time we can, without any scarcity, we can get the resources. That kind of resources is called as renewable resources. Say for example, soil, water, living organism, forest, oxygen and solar energy. See, non-renewable resources, just an opposite to renewable resources. Once if the resources are utilized, it cannot be recycled or it cannot be replaced. Such kind of resources are called as non-renewable resources. Example, or the all metals like copper, aluminium, ores of copper, aluminium, mercury, other metals like phosphate, rock, potassium, minerals that are used, and fossil fuels like coal, petroleum, natural gas, uranium, which is used for generating power in the nuclear reactor. All these are some of the examples for non-renewable resources. These resources are available in the environment, in nature. Once if they are utilized, they cannot be recycled or it cannot be replaced in the environment. Next is biotic and abiotic resources. So based on the origin, this natural resources are classified into biotic resources and abiotic resources. Earlier we talk about based on the availability in the nature, we classify them as renewable and non-renewable. Here based on the origin, we classify it as biotic resources and abiotic resources. Biotic resources are originated from some living organisms, originated from some living organism or have some life. So all the living organism comes under biotic organism, right from the microorganism to human beings. All these comes under biotic resources. And then abiotic resources, they are biotic resources, they will be organic in nature. Abiotic resources are non-living origin. Example, minerals, rocks, water, and so on. Next, let us see about the forest resources. So we all know that forest is one of the most important wealth of a country. It is world most abundant resources is the forest resources. So here Chandogya Upanishad says that water is the essence of earth and plants are the essence of water. It is estimated that forest has covered 1/5 of the Earth's entire surface in year 1980, the year of 1980. Here, forest accounts for 75% of the gross primary productivity of the Earth's biosphere and contain 80% of the Earth's plant biomass. So here, the forest in India, if you see the forest area is only 19%. And the forest area accounts for 23% of the total geographical area, and forest cover 19%. As per state of forest report in the year 1999, the total forest cover of India is 637,293 square kilometer. So in the 2014 forest cover. And then let us move on to the deforestation. So deforestation, we know that deforestation means cutting down of trees and destroying the forest area. That is called as deforestation. The United Nations Conference on Environment and Development in the year 1992, it defines the deforestation as land degradation in arid, semi-arid and subhumid areas resulting from various factors including climatic variation and human activities. So here let us see what are the causes for deforestation. Number one is fuel wood consumption, because just for fuel wood people are cutting more trees, thereby we are promoting deforestation. And due to conversion of the forest lands into agricultural land, we lost the forest resources. And due to the industrial development, even grazing is very important process in order to maintain the ecological balance. But this overgrazing will lead to deforestation. So developmental projects, shifting cultivation, forest fires, acid rains, resin taping. Resin taping means getting resins from forest. Getting resins by getting resins from the plants in the forest. Such kind of activities also a part for the cause of deforestation. What are the consequences of deforestation? So what will happen when deforestation is increases? So we face natural calamities like soil erosion, floods, silting of reservoirs and agricultural lands, decrease of recharge to groundwater, desertification, harm to fisheries, habitat loss of wildlife, extinction of some species, local and global climate changes, global warming, danger for the survival of local communities. So soil erosion, we know that the upper soil will be eroded because of heavy floods in the forest areas. And then silting of reservoirs will be closed, and because the agricultural lands will be spoiled, and there will be a decrease in the recharge of the groundwater. We lost the groundwater. Today, majority of the water scarcity that we face is due to deforestation. It is also one of the reason for water scarcity. Desertification means becoming desert. The dense forest will become a desert if this deforestation continues. And then harm for the fisheries means here it refers to the aquatic bodies. It brings drastic effects to the water body, water living organism in the water bodies. And we also lost many important species, extinction of some species, habitat loss of wildlife. So today we are talking about that in hill areas like Kodaikanal, Ooty, we are saying that many bisons are roaming in the mid of the areas. It is not moving in the mid of the city. Actually, the forest area has been reduced and it has been converted into cities. So it has lost its habitat and it was moving in between the public. And here local and global climate changes and global warming. Global warming is a major problem that we are facing today and danger for survival of local communities. And then let us see some of the movements. Number one is Chipko movement. Here the Chipko movement is otherwise called as Chipko Andolan, which was began in the year 1973. And this Chipko movement was took place in the hill areas of Uttar Pradesh. So here in Chipko movement, what they have did it, many women, they have surrounded the trees, they hugged the trees and they were protesting not to cut the trees. So this Chipko movement is one of the non-violence movement which took place by the women in the hill areas of Uttar Pradesh in order to protect the deforestation. Here, the Chipko movement in UP achieved a major victory in the year 1980 with a 15-year ban or green felling in the Himalayan forest of that state by the order of India. At that time, in the period of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. So, since the movement spread to Himachal Pradesh in the north, Karnataka in the south, Rajasthan in west, Bihar in east, and to the Indus in central India. So here the prominent Chipko figure areas is Sundar Lal Bahuna. He coined the term Chipko slogan, that is ecology is permanent economy. Ecology is the permanent economy. Sundar Lal Bahuna. He coined the Chipko slogan, ecology is permanent economy. Chandi Parsad Bhatt, Dhoom Singh Ni, who also along with the Bachadev, first saved the trees by hugging them and also coined the slogan, what do the forests bear? Soil, water and pure air. So this was the slogan when they were protesting the trees and making the people not to cut the trees. Jnanasam Ratri, he was a person who has written the, written a poem on Chipko movement. And then Epico movement. Epico movement, it took place in Karnataka. Chipko movement in Uttar Pradesh. Here in Karnataka, the Chipko movement is extended and it was named as Epico movement because Epico in the, it is in Kannada, Epico means it is hugging. It is the local term for hugging in Kannada is Epico. That's why this movement has got its name as Epico movement. In the year 1983, it was led by Panduranga heads, women and men and children of Salki community. They hugged the trees in the Kalais forest and they prevented people not to cut the trees. And then let us see the Green Belt movement. So here the Green Belt movement, GBM, is started in the year 1977 by Dr. Mangari Mathai as a grassroots of tree planting program to address the challenges of deforestation, soil erosion and lack of water. So far, the previous one we were talking about Chipko movement and Epico movement. It is one in order to control deforestation. The main objective of this movement is to avoid deforestation. Here in the Green Belt movement, it is afforestation. So to address the challenge of deforestation, Here, this Green Belt movement has started by Dr. Wangari Maathai to promote tree planting program at the grassroots level. Most prominent women civil society organization in Kenya, this Green Belt movement was addressed. And Green Belt movement advocates for human rights, supports good governance, and protects the environment through peaceful democratic change. The year 2004, Dr. Wangari Maathai became the first African woman and the first environmentalist to receive the Nobel Peace Prize for leading this Green Belt movement. Next, let us discuss about the conflicts for water, over water. The major river water conflicts in India are sharing of Kaveri water by Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, Krishna water by Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, the Bhavani water by Tamil Nadu and Kerala, Satluj Yamuna water by Punjab and Haryana, the Tungabhadra water dispute between Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka, the Aliyar Bhavani water dispute between Tamil Nadu and Kerala. The Godavari river water dispute is between Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Orissa and Karnataka. The Mahi river dispute between Gujarat, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. The Ravi and Beas river water dispute between Punjab, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Rajasthan, Jammu and Kashmir and Delhi. So these are the major water conflicts that took place in India, and in order to resolve all these water conflicts, tribunals has been appointed to resolve these interstate water conflicts. Let us see what are the tribunals has been appointed. The number one is the Godavari Water Disputes Tribunal, the Krishna Water Dispute Tribunal, the Narmada Water Dispute Tribunal, the Ravi and Beas Water Tribunal, the Kaveri Water Tribunal, Vansadara Water Dispute Tribunal, Mahadai Water Dispute Tribunal. So definitely from this area, you will be getting any question. So you have to be very key. You have to observe very keenly that. So for which kind of what water conflicts that took place in India, and between what are the states involved in those water conflicts. So for example, if they ask which are the states that involved in water conflicts for Krishna water, you must be able to answer that it is Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. So these are the things that we have to be very conscious in noting all the water conflicts. Next, let us move on to pollution. Pollution, we all know that pollution is an unfavorable alteration of our environment. So how this pollution is taken place, it is because of the human activity. The major cause for pollution is human activity. So it is defined as undesirable change in any physical, chemical or biological characteristics of our air, land and water that causing harmful effect to the life and other desirable species and cultural assets. So here pollution means it is either addition of any foreign materials. It may be organic or inorganic or biological or any other physical change in the nature, which definitely brings some harmness to the living organism, either directly or indirectly or immediately or after a long period of time. So sometimes if you see people who are working in industries, no, so for some people they will get immediate effect in their health, or sometimes it took a prolonged time. After that, after a period of time, they will get some health issues. So time is a factor, as well as either it can directly or indirectly it affects the organisms. So here the pollution is any harmful substances or the energy into the environment by man in quantities that damage health and resources. Let us see what are the types of pollutants. Pollutants are nothing but the foreign material that are added into the environment, which brings a harmful effect to the living organisms. Here the types of pollutions are air pollution, water pollution, soil or land pollution. And other pollutions that we have is radioactive pollution, sewage pollution, pesticide pollution, noise pollution, plastic pollution, marine pollution, smoke pollutions, smog pollution, chemical pollution, industrial pollution, metal toxicity pollution, drug pollution, essurine or oceanic pollution, biological pollution, still pollution, soap and detergent pollution, effluent pollution, acid rain pollution, oil pollution. So major pollution that we know is air, land, water, noise pollution. See, what are the other pollution today we are facing? We are facing plastic pollution, we are facing soap and detergent pollution. Because of usage of many soaps and detergents, we couldn't be able to see animals like frogs. That's why today we could be able to see the mosquitoes population is outnumbered in the environment. So here let us move on to the air pollution. So here air pollution is grouped into two types. One is primary pollutant, the other one is secondary pollutants. So the pollutant is the harmful materials that is added into the air, which causes major defects to the human or to all the living organisms. So based on the pollutant, we classify them as primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. See, the primary pollutants are the harmful chemical that directly enters into the air and which can be either through natural activity or it can be any man-made activity. There are 5 major primary air pollutants which together contribute more than 90% of world's air pollution. So let us see what are the 5 major primary air pollutants. So you must remember that there are 5 major primary air pollutants which is contributing for 90% of the world air pollution. Number 1 is carbon monoxide. So carbon monoxide is represented as CO. We know that it is a colorless, odorless, tasteless gas, which is chemically it is inert and the normal temperature and pressure. So it has no effect when it is in the normal concentration. So the normal concentration in the atmosphere is 0.1 ppm, parts per million. But at higher concentration, it brings serious effect to the human metabolism. So let us see what are the, so from where this carbon monoxide is released into the environment. So the natural process like volcanoes, natural gas emissions are the sources for the emission of carbon monoxide in the atmosphere. Next one is electrical discharge during cloud formation, seed germination, marsh gas production, which is also contributing to the environment, to the atmosphere in a small amounts. And transportation, if you see transportation, it is contributing 64% of carbon monoxide into the air. Forest fires and agricultural burning, it is contribute 70% of carbon monoxide in atmosphere. Industrial process such as electric furnace and blast furnace in iron and steel industry, petroleum refining, paper industry, gas manufacture, and coal mining, etc. It is causes about 9.6% of carbon monoxide in air. So if you see, out of all these, 64% of carbon monoxide is contributed by the transportation into air. So what are the effects that we get? So naturally, we all know that in our blood, we have a protein called as hemoglobin, which have great affinity towards hemoglobin, which has great affinity to carry oxygen. So rather than oxygen, when compared to oxygen, it has more affinity to bind with carbon monoxide. So when carbon monoxide is higher in the atmosphere, what happens? Our hemoglobin will goes and binds with the carbon monoxide rather than the oxygen, which may leads to many diseases, many which affects our human metabolism. So it reduces vision and causes cardiovascular disorders. This carbon monoxide is a very dangerous gas It's a very dangerous gas. Sometimes it leads to suffocation and immediate death. Another oxide of carbon is carbon dioxide. We know about carbon dioxide. So here carbon dioxide is a basic end product of the burning of fossil fuels, paper, leaves, and other carbon containing materials. Carbon dioxide is used by plants for photosynthesis. Although carbon dioxide has no direct effect on health, but with a higher concentration, it causes global warming, acid rain, and greenhouse effect. So here we can feel the temperature rise in temperature. If it is a very small room, when persons are inside more than its capacity, you can feel the warmness inside it because of release of more amount of carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide is will absorb more heat. It absorbs more heat. So this carbon dioxide is referred as one of the greenhouse gas, which causes greenhouse effects. This greenhouse effect leads to other consequences like acid rain and global warming in the atmosphere. Next, let us see about the nitrogen oxides. See, there are 8 oxides of nitrogen. So there are 8 possible oxides of nitrogen. Out of the 8 possible oxides of nitrogen, 3 are the primary source to cause air pollution. Number 1 is nitric oxide, nitrous oxide. The other one is nitrogen dioxide. See, nitric oxide is a colorless, odorless gas, but nitrous is a reddish brown and it has a suffocating odor. Both nitric oxide and nitrous oxide, they are formed at higher temperature. So when there is a high temperature, such kind of oxides will be formed. Nitrogen becomes nitric oxide and nitrous oxide. See, apart from the higher temperature, formation of nitric oxide and nitrous oxide at higher temperature, this nitrous oxide is formed by photolytic reaction. NO and NO2, they form when there is a high temperature. It is a common property for both the oxides. Whereas NO2, that is nitrous oxide, it is also formed when there is a photolytic reaction. So photolytic reactions means reaction which where light is involved. Light is involved in splitting of the molecules. Sources, activities such as agriculture, fossil fuel combustion, and industrial process are the primary cause of increased nitrous oxide concentration in the atmosphere. So here 77% of human nitrous oxide emission is there in the atmosphere. So other sources, it includes biomass burning. So biomass burning is 10%, atmospheric deposition is 9%, human sewage is 3%, and because of agricultural activity, we get 67%. So agriculture creates both direct and indirect emissions. Indirect emissions comes from the fertilized agricultural soil and livestock manure. So livestock manure is from 42%, while indirect emissions come from runoff and leaching of fertilizers is 25%. Agriculture creates 4.5 million tons of nitrous oxide per year. The use of synthetic fertilizer for agriculture is a major source of nitrous oxide emissions, whereas fertilizers help feed plants by adding nitrogen directly to the soil. So we are providing fertilizers in the soil in order to enhance the growth of the plants. But there are some soil bacteria which take all this nitrogen and convert this nitrogen, and during the process of their nitrification and nitrification, they do produce nitrous oxide, which is also released into the atmosphere. So this is how, because of the agricultural practices, this nitrogen oxides are emitted into the atmosphere.
Ma'am, what is live feed manure
Sir?
in the previous slide? 42%.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what does it mean? Livestock manure?
Livestock manure means here the cattle no sir. So the cow dung and the animal other cattle like goat, the excretas of that has to be converted
All
into a
cattle
manure.
waste, sir.
Animal
All
waste.
cattle waste.
They have to be converted into a manure and then it has to be utilized. If it is not converted and it is left over in the soil, the upper layer of the soil, agricultural land, then there may be a chance for the emission of the formation of this nitrogen oxides, and they are released into the environment. Next, the storage and handling of livestock manure is another direct source of agricultural nitrous oxide emissions. When the manure of livestock is not used as a fertilizer or left in the field during grazing, it has to be kept for treatment. This is what you asked. See, if it is not used as a fertilizer and it is just like that, if we kept in the fields during grazing, it has to be kept for treatment and disposal in animal waste management. If it is not properly done, then it also becomes a direct source of emitting nitrous oxide in the atmosphere. Many of the systems create conditions that are favorable for nitrous oxide producing bacteria. Fossil fuel combustion industrial process are an important source of nitrous oxide emissions. So these are the ways by which this oxides of nitrogen are emitted into the atmosphere. Next, let us see how the industrial process causes emission of nitrous oxide in the atmosphere. The two main industrial sources are the production of nitric and adipic acid. Here, the nitric acid is an important ingredient for synthetic fertilizer, while adipic acid is primarily used for making synthetic fibers. For both of these acids, oxidation of nitrogen compounds during the production process creates nitrous oxide. A sustainable amount of nitrous oxide is caused by biomass burning, which accounts for 10% of human caused emission. So here, this industrial, the artificial here, synthetic fertilizer refers to the artificial fertilizers, that is chemical fertilizers. Today we are using more number of chemical fertilizers in the agricultural field rather than using biofertilizers. So because of this synthetic fertilizers, for manufacturing the synthetic fertilizers, here nitric and adipic acid are the major important ingredients. So when such synthetic fertilizers are used in the agricultural lands, it leads to the emission of nitrous oxide into the atmosphere. Biomass burning is the burning of living and dead vegetation. In these fires, some of the nitrogen in the biomass and surrounding air is oxidized, creating nitrous oxide. So when it is burned, when the nitrogen gas is liberated out of the during burning, it reacts with the oxides in the atmosphere and produces nitrous oxide. As with the animal waste, human waste is a significant source of nitrous oxide emissions. Sewage plants and septic tanks are used to store and treat water plant wastewater. Many of these systems create conditions that are favorable for nitrous oxide producing bacteria. Human sewage produces 3% of nitrous oxide. So here even the wastewater, the human waste has to be disposed properly. It has to be treated properly, and then it has to be emitted. It has to be released into the environment. The untreated water will leads to the emission of nitrous oxide in the atmosphere. The slide is not moving. Yes. So apart from being created by human activities, nitrous oxide is also released into the atmosphere by natural process. So let us see what are the natural processes. The earth, soil, ocean and atmosphere are all natural sources of nitrous oxide emissions. Chemical reactions in the atmosphere produce a significant amount of nitrous oxide emissions. The atmosphere acts as a source for nitrogen oxide through the oxidation of ammonia, which creates 5% of emission. Ammonia is a natural occurring gas in the atmosphere. The ocean, manure from wildlife as well as aging and rotting plants form the most important natural sources of ammonia in the air. And then let us see what are the effects. Like CO, nitric oxide can also combine with the hemoglobin and reduces the oxygen carrying capacity of the body. So nitric oxide is moderately toxic as its concentration in air is not high. Whereas nitrous oxide is more toxic. It irritates the alveoli of the lungs. Alveoli, we know it is the tiny structure, finger-like structure that helps in gaseous exchange, and its higher concentration may cause acute bronchitis. And sulfur oxides. Next one is sulfur oxide. So far we have discussed about the nitrogen oxides of nitrogen. Now sulfur oxide. It includes sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. Sulfur dioxide is a colorless gas having pungent and suffocating odor. Here sulfur oxide pollution 67% is due to volcanic activities and other natural activities. 33% is due to industrialization, mainly due to the fuel combustion, motor vehicle emission, the fuel combustion in the motor vehicles, automobile, from automobile industries. Next. Effects. It irritates the nose, throat, and airways to causing cough, sneezing, shortness of breath, or a tight feeling around the chest. The effect of sulfur dioxide are felt very quickly, and most people would feel the worst symptoms in 10 or 15 minutes after breathing it. When sulfur dioxide combines with water and air, it forms sulfuric acid, which is the main component of rain. Even this nitrogen dioxide, when it combines with water, it becomes nitric acid. It is also a main component of acid rain, like sulfuric acid. Plants are sensitive to high concentration of sulfur dioxide and suffer chlorosis, metabolic inhibition, plasmolysis, and even death. Hydrocarbons. The gaseous and volatile hydrocarbons are mainly responsible for air pollution. Common hydrocarbons, it includes methane, ethylene, acetylene, terpenes, etc. So let us see what are the sources for hydrocarbons. Trees emit large quantities of hydrocarbons in the atmosphere. Anaerobic decomposition of organic matter by bacteria produces hydrocarbons. Production, treatment, storage, and distribution of fossil fuels, combustion process, applications of volatile organic solvents, and solvent containing products, industrial and microbial waste. Mining and process of coal mainly lead to methane emission, but also ethane and propane are produced in minor amounts. Production as well as storage and distribution of liquid fossil fuels comprise a large variety of activities that result in hydrocarbon emissions to the atmosphere. Crude oil production platforms on land or offshore are point sources of hydrocarbons such as methane, ethane, propane, butanes, pentanes, hexanes, heptanes, octanes, and cycloparaffins. Processing of petroleum products results in fuel, feedstock, and primary products. See, recently we might have heard about the oil spills in the seashore. So here the oil, mainly the oil will contains hydrocarbons. So because of the hydrocarbon, when the hydrocarbons are introduced into the marine system, it affects the penetration of the oxygen into the water bodies. Thereby, it leads to the demand of oxygen for all the aquatic bodies, aquatic living organisms in the ocean. Thereby, it leads to the death of the organisms. So it forms like a layer. This hydrocarbon, the oil will forms like a layer, and it prevents the atmospheric oxygen to penetrate inside the water. Let us see what are the effects. Hydrocarbons, when they are in the higher concentration, they are carcinogenic in nature. So carcinogenic means it causes cancer, and therefore it is very harmful for the lungs. The aromatic hydrocarbons like benzene and toluene are more dangerous. When we inhale hydrocarbons, it causes irritations in the mucous membrane. Increased concentration of hydrocarbon vapors increases mucus irritation, leading to blockage of the respiratory tract, as a result of which person coughs continuously. Hydrocarbon reacts with nitrogen oxides and produce photochemical smog that cause irritation to the eyes, nose, and throat, as well as respiratory distress. Plants exposed to high level of hydrocarbons display yellowing of leaves. Particulates. So particulates are very small solid particles and liquid droplets that are present in the atmosphere, which is fairly larger in number and sometimes cause serious air pollution problem. In size, particulates, they ranges from 0.02 micron in diameter of 500 micron, with lifetime varying from a few seconds to several months. The particulates can be either an organic or inorganic in nature. So the natural particulate matter present in aerosol is known as the organic particulate matter. The example for particulates that are originated from the volcanoes, dust storms, forests and grasslands, fires and living vegetation. The inorganic particulate matter mainly comprises of metal oxides that are formed during the burning of fossil fuels, industrial process, vehicular exhaust and acid rain. During combustion of pyrites, coal iron oxide is formed, and formed from its ash, calcium oxide is also released into the atmosphere. Into the atmosphere. So effects of the particulates: irritation to the eyes, nose, throat. We will get symptoms like cough, chest tightness, shortness of breath, reduced lung function, irregular heartbeat, asthma attacks, heart attacks, premature death in people with heart or lung diseases. Particulate matters adversely affects the plant kingdom. The deposition of toxic substances makes the soil unsuitable for plant growth. These particles also get deposited on plant leaves and block the stomata of the plant, thereby decreasing the rate of respiration and photosynthesis, causing the vegetation to perish. The suspended particle matter accelerates the corrosion of materials. It is more common in urban and industrial areas than in villages. They also corrode buildings and sculptures. Particulates reduce visibility by absorbing and effectively scattering solar radiation. They influence the climate through formation of clouds, rain, and snow, and act as nuclei on which water condenses. Hence, it is also affects the nature of precipitation. So far, we have discussed about the primary pollutants. Now we are moving to secondary pollutants. Secondary pollutants are formed by the primary pollutants when they react with the normal atmosphere. Ozone is a very good example for a secondary pollutant, which was formed by the photochemical reaction between the primary pollutant and the natural atmospheric gas. Ozone affects the respiratory and nervous system. It also damages rubber products and textiles. Peroxyacetyl nitrate is a secondary pollutant which is formed when hydrocarbon radicals reacts with the nitrogen dioxide. Peroxyacetyl nitrate causes photochemical smog and also causes irritation of the eyes, nose, throat, and respiratory distress. Disposition of the toxic secondary pollutants either in the gaseous form or as particulates on soil make the soil unfit for plant growth. Acid rain for longer period decreases the pH of the soil and makes it acidic. So usually plant grows only in the alkaline condition. When the soil becomes acidic, it becomes unfit for the plant growth. Particulates, on the other hand, deposits on the leaves of the plants and block their stomata. As a result, the rate of photosynthesis and transpiration decreases and leads to decreased crop yield and retarded growth. So here, because when the stomata is blocked, stomata is a hole which is present in a, it's an opening present in the epidermis of the leaves, which helps for gaseous exchange. So when the particulate matter is deposited on the leaves, it blocks the stomata, thereby it affects the photosynthesis and transpiration. It was misspelled transportation, it was written, it is not transportation, it is transpiration. Transpiration means it is the excess water that is sent out from the plant body in the form of a water vapor. That process is called as transpiration. Cattle are also found to be affected by air pollution. Ozone and pan, it irritates the eyes, impair vision, and it creates breathing problem that leads to asthma in human beings. So here we have to keep that in mind, that the secondary pollutants are ozone, peroxyacetyl nitrate, peroxyacetyl nitrate, and then particulate matters. These are some of the secondary pollutants which are formed by the primary pollutants when they react with the normal atmosphere. See, other secondary pollutants are hydrogen cyanides, blast furnace fumigation chemical plants. It is the source from which we get hydrogen cyanides. Blast furnace fumigation chemical plants, refineries, chemical industries, and bituminous fuels. Interferes with nerve cells, produce dry throat, indistinct vision, and headache. Hydrogen sulfide, it causes nausea, irritation of eyes and throat. Hydrogen oxide, here soft, cold, automobile exhaust inhibits cilia action so that soot and dust penetration far into the lungs. Phosgene, chemical and dye making industry, induces coughing, irritation, and fatal pulmonary edema. Sulfur dioxide, combustion of coal and oil, it causes chest constriction, headache, vomiting, and ultimately leads to death due to respiratory alignments. Suspended particles is ash, soot, smoke. These are suspended particles. Incinerator and almost every manufacturing process causes emphysema, irritation in the eyes, and possibly cancer. Next one is water pollution. Water pollution, we know the pollution that occurs in the water bodies is called as water pollution. So when there is any addition of excess material into the water, either it is an organic or inorganic material, and the water becomes unfit for the life of all living organisms, then the water is said to be polluted. According to the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974, the pollution of water means it is contaminated water or alteration in the physical, chemical, or the biological properties of water because of the discharge of any sewage material into the water or any other harmful or injurious materials that are mixed up with the water bodies. And then types of water pollution, we have freshwater pollution, marine water pollution. In freshwater pollution, it includes both surface and groundwater pollution. So surface water pollution, how it occurs when pollutant enter water bodies such as pond, rivers, and lakes. We call it as a surface water pollution. The causes of surface water pollution is either a natural or man-made, or it can be both. For example, silt in rivers and sedimentation on riverbeds by the discharge of sewage and industrial effluents blocks the free flow of water, causing floods. So you might have seen the growth of Eichhornia, which is an aquatic plant on the surface of the pond and rivers. If it is a very good indicator for water pollution. So if the growth of that plant Eichhornia is high, then it shows that the water is highly contaminated. It is highly polluted. Discharge of industrial effluents into rivers also causes pollution due to discharge of harmful chemicals. However, when pollutants find their way into groundwater through an aquifer, they pollute it too. As a result of which the quality of groundwater decreases. Marine water pollution. Marine water pollution is easily polluted by contaminants carried by rivers and also by oil spills and radioactive and industrial waste. Thermal pollution also occurs due to the discharge of hot water from different industry. Mining of polymetallic nodules also damages the ocean bed. So here, what are the most abundant and wonderful natural resources which is essential for the survival of all living organisms. But today we don't get any clean water because of high range of pollutants are added into the water bodies, and it is becomes unfit for drinking. And here the threats, because the threats is because sewage and domestic waste are mixed into the natural water bodies, industrial effluents, agricultural discharge, coastal shipping or coastal water pollution. All these are included into the water, and thereby it becomes unfit for drinking. Sewage and domestic waste. Discharging untreated or partly treated sewage of domestic and municipal origin into nearby rivers, lakes or seas have been common practice. So domestic or public sewage mainly contain food waste, water from domestic use and water from laboratories. More accurately, this sewage contain pollutants that originate from different human metabolism and vital activities. Various bacteria, yeast, algae, mold, and eggs of Helmont virus are detected in this water. It also contains clay, mineral salts, and sand as inorganic impurities. Pollutants which are rich in carbonaceous organic materials are oxidized by microorganisms into carbon dioxide and water. As a result, the dissolved oxygen level of water decreases, affecting aquatic life. When the amount of discharge in sewage is less, this biological degradation method helps to remove the waste from rivers. In case of strong sewage and when dissolved oxygen in water is less, the waste cannot be removed through biodegradation and ends up polluting the river. Water becomes septic when dissolved oxygen level is low. So next, the types of pollutants in water can be measured in terms of three terms. One is biological oxygen demand. The second one is chemical oxygen demand. The third one is dissolved oxygen. The biological oxygen demand is the amount of dissolved oxygen that is needed by the aerobic microorganisms to break down the organic material that is present in the water in a specific time. So this is called as biological oxygen demand. When BOD is high, then it shows that the water is highly contaminated. The BOD value is most commonly expressed in terms of milligrams of oxygen that is consumed per liter of sample during 5 days of incubation at 20 degrees centigrade. The BOD for pure water will be 1 ppm. It can be up to 3 ppm. If it goes beyond, then the water is said to be highly contaminated and it cannot be fit for drinking purpose. Next, chemical oxygen demand. So it is an indicative measure of the amount of oxygen that has been consumed by the reactions in a measured solution. It is commonly expressed in terms of milligrams per liter. A COD test can be used to easily quantify the amount of organics in water. The most common application of COD is quantifying the amount of oxidable pollutants found in surface water, like lakes and rivers, or in wastewater. COD is more scientific than BOD, and if there is a higher level of COD, it also indicates that the water is highly contaminated. Next, dissolved oxygen. Dissolved oxygen refers to the level of free non-compound oxygen present in water or other liquids. It is an important parameter in assessing water quality because of its influence on the organism living within the water body. The study of lakes is called as limnology. Dissolved oxygen is an essential factor only to essential factor only to water itself. A dissolved oxygen level that is too high or too low can harm aquatic life and affect the water bodies. Next, industrial effluents. Due to industrial activities, a wide variety of waste products are generated, which are generally discharged into surface waters. Some of these waste are toxic in nature and some are poisonous, threatening the life of living organisms to varying extent. Most of them in India, rivers and freshwater streams are polluted in varying degrees by industrial waste and effluents, which come along with the wastewater or effluent of many kinds of industries, such as paper and pulp mills, textile industries, food processing industries, chemical, pharmaceutical, fertilizer, metal industries, petrochemical industries, and refineries. See, I have bolded the source. So these are these are the sources from where the pollutants are added to the water and get polluted. But among all that, the waste from the pharmaceutical, fertilizer and metal industry, petrochemical industry and refineries are the major contribution for water pollution. Besides these, sugar industry, distilleries, steel mills, tanneries and coal washeries, synthetic material plants for the manufacture of fibers, rubber, plastic, paints, colorants and many else items are included in the list of industries producing harmful waste. The industry waste of these industries and mills include toxicants like metals, for example, copper, zinc, lead, mercury, and also detergents, petroleum, acids, alkali, phenols, carbonates, alcohol, cyanide, arsenic, chlorine, and the other inorganic and organic matters released by man. A survey of major rivers in India indicated that all major rivers have turned polluted to varying degrees. We all know that today the area of river is also shrinked and the water is highly polluted and it is not fit uh, for domestic uses. Effects of Next, let's discuss about the effects of heavy metal water pollutants by man on man. Metal toxic effects of man is cadmium, copper, lead, arsenic, zinc, selenium. These are the heavy metals which causes pollutants for humankind. So when the deposition of cadmium is high, it leads to diarrhea, growth retardation, bone deformation, kidney damage, testicular atrophy, hypertension, tumor formation, hepatic injury, central nervous system injury, and anemia. And copper leads to hypertension, sporadic fever, uremia, coma, etc. And for zinc, vomiting, renal damage, cramps, and for mercury, abdominal pain, headache, diarrhea, hemolysis, chest pain. Lead, anemia, brain damage, vomiting, loss of appetite, convulsions, liver damage, kidney damage. Arsenic, disturbances of peripheral circulation, mental disturbances, liver cirrhosis, hyperkeratitis, kidney damage, ulcers in gastrointestinal tract, lung cancer. Selenium, fever, nervousness, vomiting, dental care, fall in blood pressure and death, liver, kidney and spleen damage, blindness. So these are the health issues that occurs in human because of the deposition of heavy metals in the body. Chromium, cancer, nephritis, gastrointestinal ulceration, diseases in central nervous system. Cobalt, paralysis, diarrhea, low blood pressure, lung irritation, bone defects, lung irritation and bone defects. Twice I have written. Lung irritation and bone defects. Agricultural discharge. With the population explosion and advancement of science and technology, the demand of more crops from the same land leads to excessive use of fertilizers and pesticides. So because of population explosion to provide food for the entire population, here we are using excessive fertilizers and pesticides to increase the yield of the plant. This injurious use of chemicals results in water pollution, and they are washed off the lands through irrigation, rainfall, and rained and carried into rivers and streams. Excessive use of these fertilizers results in accumulation of nitrogen, phosphorus, and water on land. They are washed off the land with water through rainfall and irrigation into water bodies such as streams and rivers. The excess storage of potassium and phosphorus enhances luxuriant growth of algae in water bodies, which goes on to decrease the dissolved oxygen content, thereby leading to eutrophication. Eutrophication. Eutrophication is a process in which the toxic substance like potassium or phosphorus, which was leached into the water body, will start depositing from one organism to the other organism through their food chain. So thereby it leads to eutrophication. Finally, all the entire organisms in the aquatic body will die. On the other hand, nitrogenous fertilizers get converted into nitrates, and it is also get deposited in the water bodies. When these nitrates enters the human body, they are transformed to nitrites by intestinal bacteria. The nitrates, they combine with the hemoglobin and to form meta hemoglobin. Metahemoglobin prohibits the formation of oxyhemoglobin and causes damage to the vascular and respiratory system. And blue coloration of skin leads to skin cancer. Pesticides, on the other hand, not only kill the targeted pest, but they also affects the human being through the food chain. Shipping or coastal water pollution. Pollution of coastal water occurs due to discharge of sewage and industrial effluents through open drains or closed pipes, rubbish from ships in course of transportation of oil, exploration or exploitation of seabed and ocean floor for obtaining crude petroleum. The chance of seashore water pollution is more from sewage and industrial effluents, but deep ocean surface water is contaminated with a layer of oil generally extended to a long distance. The source of this oil is in most cases accidents that takes place during shipping and transferring. The greatest sufferers of this situation are marine birds, aquatic mammals, and fishes. The bird that lost their power of flight and external and aquatic mammals have agonies due to closure of eyes, ears, and obstruction in locomotory activities. Next one is thermal and radioactive plants. Different industries and nuclear power plants use water for cooling and discharge the heated water into nearby streams or water bodies. So today, many foreign industries are coming into India because of the usage of more water. They need high amount of water to produce their products, like for example, manufacturing of cars. So the water which is used in the such industries or when it is released, it will be highly warm, and when they are directly entered into the streams, it naturally affects the water organism living in the water body. Nuclear reactors, nuclear explosions, nuclear war, medicinal use and research laboratories are the main sources of the radioactive waste. They are most toxic as their effects persist for a number of generations. The long suffering people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki are a living example of radioactive pollution. Still, we could be able to see the effect of this radioactive pollution in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The bomb blast. Detergents as water pollutants. The term detergent means cleansing agent has come to mean a soap substitute. They include ingredients like surfactants, builders, and additives such as anti-corrosive sodium silicate, stabilizers, and soil suspending carboxy, methyl cellulose, etc. Both surfactants and odors of detergent create serious pollution problems in water. ABS, alkali benzene sulfates are considered as surfactants. The ABS has one serious disadvantage, that is non-biodegradable. Consequently, the detergents stay around in water supplies more or less indefinitely, causing some rivers and sewage treatment plants or ponds to become covered with mountains of foams. So now completely biodegradable linear alkali benzene sulfonates are used. Lauryl sulfate is an excellent surfactant, and like LA is also biodegradable. Soil pollution. Next one is soil pollution. So unfavorable alteration of soil by addition or removal of substance and factors which decrease the soil productivity. The quality of plants as well as the groundwater is also gone down. The sources of soil pollution is industrial waste, urban waste, radioactive pollutants, agricultural practices, chemical and metallic pollutants. The industrial waste, disposal of industrial waste is the major problem responsible for soil pollution. These industrial pollutants are mainly discharged from pulp and paper mill, chemical industry, oil refineries, sugar factories, tanneries, textiles, steel distilleries, fertilizers, pesticide industry, coal and mineral mining industry, metal processing industry, drugs, glass, cement, petroleum and engineering industries. Hazardous waste generated from these chemical industries will find their way into the soil environment. The industry waste, fertilizers like arsenic, ammonia, fluoride, heavy metals, acid, tar, phenolics, cyanide, polyaromatic hydrocarbons, caustic soda, mercury, chlorinated hydrocarbons, lead carbonate, asbestos, pesticides, chlorinated aromatics, chlorobenzene, organophosphorus derivatives, soil residues of pesticides, chlorophenols, dioxins. Organic chemicals like chloro, nitro and phenolic substances, organic solvents, organic liquid and semi-solid residues. Zinc, polysulfides, lead salts, manganese. These are some of the industrial waste which causes soil pollution. Next, because of agricultural practices, we all know that in agricultural practices, the majority is because of usage of synthetic fertilizer, pesticides, herbicides, weedicides, which will other soil conditioning agents are used in order to raise the crop yield. But as a result, we are polluting the soil, and by days the soil will become unfit for agricultural practices. Many agricultural practices have low excessive amount of plant and animal waste, which are posing soil pollution problem. Apart from these, farm waste, manure, slurry, debris, soil erosion containing mostly inorganic chemicals, which is also reported to cause soil pollution. USA alone produces about 18 million tons of agricultural waste every year. Some of the agents responsible for this pollution are as follows. Fertilizers. Nowadays, agricultural practices rely on artificial fertilizers. Majority of the fertilizers contains compounds like nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, which causes critical soil pollution problems. Because of the soil get contaminated, the soil becomes unfit for further agricultural practices. Next one is pesticides. Pesticides are chemicals that are used to eradicate pests in the agricultural farm. Example for artificial pesticides are DDT, BSC, aldrin, endrin, dialdrin, lindane, chlorodane, heptachlor, and endosulfane. Organophosphates includes malathion, parathion, ethion, pentheon, trithion, Drasban, dimethionate, phosgene, and metacistox, etc. The remnants of these pesticides may get absorbed by the soil particles, which may contaminate the root crops that are grown in the soil. The PCBs, which possess many of the unwelcome biological properties of organochlorine, particularly long persistent liquid solubility to soil conditioners. Next one is soil conditioners, fumigants and other chemical agents. In addition to the fertilizers, pesticides and biocides, soil conditioners and fumigants are also employed to the land system to increase and protect the soil fertility as well as to kill the hazardous insects. These chemical agents are reported to cause alteration in both agricultural and horticultural soil areas. They contain several toxic metals like lead, arsenic, cadmium, mercury, cobalt, etc. And then farm waste, increasing pollution of cow, cattle, pigs and poultry have resulted in considerable soil pollution. Building in which grazing animals are housed can be cleansed using water, but the manure is also washed out and deposited as a wet slurry on the land. This slurry, which is deposited on the soil, may seep into the groundwater and causes pollution to the groundwater. When these farm waste are dumped into heaps, they may become a good breeding ground for insects and nuisance arises. Chemical and metallic pollutants. A number of industries, including textiles, pesticides, paints, dyes, soaps, synthetic detergent, tanneries, drug, batteries, cement, asbestos, rubber, petroleum, paper and pulp, sugar, steel, glass, electroplating and metal industries which pour their hazardous effluents in the soil and causes soil pollution. The effects of soil pollution, most of the heavy metals, for example, arsenate, which is impregnated areas, can often be recognized by the absence of vegetation. So here, the toxic metals like nickel, chromium, cadmium causes lung cancer. Several nickel compounds, including the nickel tetracarbonyl, which are highly carcinogenic, lead and the other tetraalkalis, which is highly poisonous, which affects the central nervous system. And lead poisoning leads to painful intestine colic, kidney loss, failure in the kidneys functioning, loss of function in peripheral nerves, leading to the tumors and paralysis. Hazards caused by biomagnification of pesticides are of increasing concern. These pesticides enter food chain, attain concentration through biomagnification, and destroy members of different trophic levels and may pass from one ecosystem to the other. Persistent pesticides become concentrated in high links of foods. Recent declines in the number of eagles, falcons, hawks, gulls, and brown pelicans are linked with unsuccessful reproduction. The predators accumulate DDT in their tissue from rodents and other organisms which they eat. DDT is correlated with the disturbances in liver enzyme action and interference in calcium metabolism. Eggs are produced with little or no hard shells and are easily broken and do not hatch. Dioxin, which kill small animals, but the major effect on the human beings are skin lesions, which is including very unsightly and long persisting acne due to the blockage of ducts of sebaceous glands. See here, it is also noted that the DDT is present in the mother's milk through the food chain. So when we use the artificial pesticides or the chemical pesticides, what happens? The pesticides get deposited from the primary producer, it is transferred from the primary producer to the secondary, to the consumers, to the primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, like that. It migrates from one level, traffic level to the another level, and it drastically it affects the entire food chain, leads to the death of the organism. So it is also, scientists has noticed that at the time of introduction of this DDT, it has been noted that even the mother's breast milk has a trace amount of DDT because of the use of DDT in the agricultural lands. So it's getting time. See. See, I have so many things to say. Let us, since short of time, let me tell you the important concepts. Let us go from the back. So let us know what are the terms, biological terms. For example, zooplankton. Zooplankton is heterotrophic component of plankton that drifts in oceans, seas, rivers, and freshwater bodies. Here, weathering means decomposition of. Weathering means decomposition of earth, rock, soil, and minerals through direct contact with the earth's atmosphere. And then waterlogging. Waterlogging is a phenomenon of groundwater table rising to close to the ground level to sustain useful plant life. In India, the areas which are frequently water include estuarine deltas of Gangas, areas of Kerala and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Important effects are land cannot sustain useful plant life. That is called as waterlogging. Waterlogging means excess water in the ground surface leads to affect the plant body. Next, vermicomposting means processing of using earthworm for conversion of biodegradable waste to compost. Sustainable development. Sustainable development means a pattern of resource use that aims to meet the needs of the present without compromising those of the future. That is called as sustainable development. Subsurface water. Subsurface water is the groundwater present in the pores of soil and rocks, as well as water present in aquifers. So next one is PVC. PVC means polyvinyl chloride, which is the third most widely produced synthetic plastic polymer after polyethylene and polypropylene. PVC comes in two basic forms. One is two basic forms, and it is highly flexible. Sometimes it is abbreviated as RPVP, RPVC. The rigid form of PVC is used in construction for pipes and in profile applications such as doors and windows. Red data book. The data book containing the red list of all threatened species of fauna and flora listed as per IUCN specification. That is called as red data book. Sedimentation. Sedimentation is a mechanism where sand in the riverbed acts as a sink for the pollutants. From the hills, when river reaches flatlands, it spreads its velocity, reduces, and suspended pollutants settle on the sandbed. Smog. Smog means it's a mixture of smoke and fog which causes air pollution. Sanitary landfills. Sanitary landfills are sites where waste is isolated from the environment until it is safe. It is considered when it is completely degraded biologically, chemically, and physically. In high income countries, the level of isolation achieved may be high. Point source. A single identifiable localized source of pollution is called as point source. Polymer. A polymer is a large molecule composed of repeated structural units connected by covalent chemical bonds. That is called as polymer. Polypropylene. Polypropylene is represented as PP, and it is also known as polypropene. Is a thermoplastic polymer used in used for various applications like packing, labeling, and in textiles. Like example, robes, thermal underwears, and thermal products, underwears, and carpets. Stationary plastic parts and reusable containers of various types, laboratory equipments, loudspeakers, automatic components, and polymer banknotes. And then phytoremediation. Phytoremediation, the word itself says the remedy means solution. So bringing an environmental solution for an environmental problem with the help of plants. That is called as phytoremediation. That is to aquatic plants. So the aquatic plants and the vegetation on the river banks absorbs nitrate, phosphate, and other nutrients. Thereby, it removes the pesticides and heavy metals from the water. In this way, the quality of the water in the river can be improved. Precipitation, the other words for precipitation is rain, sleet, hail, snow, and other forms of water falling from the sky. Profoundal zone, the deep zone of a water body such as ocean or a lake located below the range of effective light penetration is called as profoundal zone. Next, PS, polystyrene is a synthetic aromatic polymer made from the monomer styrene. Polystyrene can be solid or foamed. It is used for general purpose. Polystyrene is clear, hard, and rather brittle. It is rather poor barrier to oxygen and water vapor and has a relatively lower melting point. Next, osmoregulation. So osmoregulation is the active regulation of osmotic pressure of bodily fluids to maintain hemostasis of the body's water content. Hemostasis means balancing mechanism, bringing to an equilibrium state. Oxidation ponds also called lagoons or stabilization ponds, which are large, shallow ponds designed to treat wastewater through the interaction of sunlight, bacteria, and algae. Oligotroph, an ecosystem with very little nutrient level and thus offers a very little to sustain life. That is called as oligotrophic. Organic farming. Organic farming means a form of agriculture that maintains soil productivity and to control pests without the use of synthetic fertilizers or pesticides. Particulates already we have discussed. They are tiny particles. Either it may be solid or liquid or sometimes suspended in a gaseous form. Pelagic. So what is pelagic? Any water in the sea that lies not too close to the bottom is referred to as pelagic, and that region is known as pelagic zone. PET, polyethylene terephthalate. Sometimes polyethylene terephthalate. Polyethylene terephthalate. Yes. Is commonly abbreviated as PET, and it is most common thermoplastic polymer resin of the polyester family, which is used for clothing, containers for liquids and foods, thermoforming for manufacturing, and in combination with the glass fiber for engineering resins. Photochemical smog, Los Angeles smog. Photochemical smog is called as Los Angeles smog. Formation of this type of smog is initiated by the UV radiations from the sun. The other UV radiations from the sun. And then leachate. Leachate is a liquid that drains or leaches out from the landfills or other waste disposable areas. It forms when water percolates through waste, extracting soluble or suspended particles. Lentic water. Lentic water means still water, standing water. For example, ponds, basins, marshes, and ditches. LLDEP refers to linear low density polyethylene. Polyethylene is a polyethylene with a significant number of short branches commonly made by co-polymerization of ethylene with longer chain olefins. Lotic water means flowing water. Lentic water means still water. Lotic water means flowing water. For example, creeks, streams, rivers, and springs. Macrophytes. Macrophyte, the word macro refers to big. Is an aquatic plant that grows in or near water and is either emergent, submergent, or floating, and includes heliophytes, a plant that grows in Mars, partly submerged in water, and so that it regrows from buds below the water surface. In lakes and rivers, macrophytes produce cover for fish and substrate for aquatic invertebrates that produces oxygen and acts as a food for some fish and wildlife. Marshland, treeless land where the water table is just at above or below the ground and it is dominated by grasses, weeds, sedges and reed maize. Municipal solid waste, a type of waste predominantly made of domestic and commercial waste. It includes commercial and residential waste, solid or semi-solid form, excluding hazardous waste, but it mainly contains treated biomedical waste generated in a municipal or notified area. Non-point source, sources of pollution that arise over a comparatively larger area than from a single point or single area. Hygroscopic water. Hygroscopic water means the water forms very thin film around the solid particles, soil particles, and it's not available to the plant. The water is held so tightly by the soil that it cannot be taken up by the roots, not held in the pores, but on the particular particle surface. Incineration, a waste treatment technology that involves combustion of organic materials. In simple term, we can say incineration means burning. Land filling, disposal of residual solid waste on land in a facility designed with protective measures against pollution of groundwater, surface water, and air fugitive dust. Land reclamation, restoring an area to a more natural state, usually after being made unusual due to pollution, salination, etc. Latitude, we all know that latitude, it gives the location of the place on the earth. The line of latitude or the horizontal lines that showing running from east to west on the maps. LDPE, low density polyethylene, is a thermoplastic made from ethylene through free radical polymerization. It is not reactive at the room temperature, and except by strong oxidizing agents, and can withstand temperature up to 80 degrees centigrade continuously, and even sometimes 90 degrees centigrade, 80 degree to 95 degree centigrade. Endemism, in a broad sense, it means native or characteristics of a particular geographical area. Eutrophication, it is the excessive richness of nutrient in a lake or other body of water, frequently due to runoff from the land, which causes a dense growth of plant life. Flotation, after rapid mixing of waterfalls, air bubbles act as vehicles to lift many pollutants to the water surface in the form of froth. This froth is exposed to the atmosphere and it facilitates oxidation of pollutants to less harmful forms. The top layer is also directly exposed to the sunlight, either by increased temperature or due to various photochemical reactions. Volatile organic compounds are removed from the top layer. At different sections of the river, various artificial tracks helps in the removal of this growth, and thus rivers gets self-purified. And then humus. Humus is nothing but organic material in the soil having a dark brown or black coloration. Hydrological cycle, the movement of water within the hydrosphere. It is also called as water cycle. Denitrification. Denitrification is a process where the microbial facilitated process of disseminatory nitrate reduction that may ultimately produce molecular nitrogen through a series of intermediate gaseous nitrogen oxide products. Denudation, the process by which the process removal of material that through means of erosion and weathering leads to the reduction of elevation and relief in landforms and landscapes. Desalination, any of several processes that remove excess salt and other minerals from water or soil is called as desalination. Dilution, when a polluted river is joined by less polluted tributaries or during the rainy seasons, the volume of water in the river is increased. It reduces the concentration of pollutants by dilution process. Dissolved oxygen, we have already discussed. It is an oxygen gets into water by diffusion from the surrounding air by aeration, and as a waste product of photosynthesis. Dissolved oxygen is a measure of the amount of gaseous oxygen dissolved in an aqueous medium. Amount of dissolved oxygen present in water quality is a water quality parameter of an aqueous system. Ecosphere, the planetary ecosphere ecosystem consisting of all living organism and their environment is called as ecosphere. Effluent, an outflowing of water from a natural body of water or from a man-made structure like factories. It's called as effluent. Biodilution. Biodilution is also a process that occurs to all trophic levels in an aquatic environment. It is the opposite of biomagnification. Thus, a pollutant gets smaller in concentration as it progresses up a food web. Biomagnification is also known as bioamplification or biological magnification. Is the increasing concentration of a substance such as toxic chemicals in the tissue of organism at successfully higher levels in a food chain. Chemical smog. Chemical smog is otherwise called as London smog. This type of smog is thought to be caused by sulfur dioxide. It is formed by the combination of smoke, dust, fog, and the chemical smog is usually formed around some industrial and power plants. It is generally bad in the early morning hours and become worse after sunrise due to sunlight induced oxidation of it, followed by reaction with humidity. Sulfuric acid is formed in this type of smog, which is very harmful to the people suffering from bronchial diseases such as asthma and emphysema. In the year 1962, chemical smog killed more than 700% in London and are thought to be primary causes of this death. That's why chemical smogs are otherwise called as London smog, because it has created a great tragedy. Around 700% in London has died because of this chemical smog. Comminution. Comminution is the reduction of solid materials from one average particle size to smaller average particle size. How it can be done, how the larger particles can be become made into a smaller, it's by crushing, grinding, cutting, vibrating, or a means of other process. In geology, it naturally occurs by faulting in the upper surface of the earth crust. See, most polluted city of India is Delhi, Bihar, Gwalior, Madhya Pradesh, Raipur, Chhattisgarh, Ahmedabad, Rajpur, Chhattisgarh, Ahmedabad, Gujarat. Some important terminology which is related to environment is aeration. When a river runs through hills, turbulence mixes air into water, increasing the dissolved oxygen. Increased dissolved oxygen concentration facilitates many chemical and microbiological processes in water to reduce the pollutant concentration. Absorption. Pollutants are absorbed onto sand particles, plant surfaces, rocks, etc., and thereby concentrations get reduced in the river water. Bioaccumulation. See, bioaccumulation is the accumulation of substance such as pesticides or any other chemicals in an organism. Bioaccumulation occurs when an organism absorbs a substance at a very faster rate, at which the substance is lost by catabolism and excretion. Bioconcentration. It is the accumulation of chemical in or on an organism when the source of chemical is solely water. Bioconcentration is a term that has been created for use in the field of aquatic toxicology. Bioconcentration can also be defined as the process by which a chemical concentration in an aquatic organism exceeds that in water as a result of exposure to chemicals. World's most populated cities according to WHO in the year 2016. Zabol, Gwalior, Ahmedabad, Riyadh, Raipur, Bamenda, Boding, Delhi, Ludhiana. Most polluted rivers of world is Citarium River, Indonesia, Ganges River, India, Mantasa Riachuelo River, Argentina, Buriganga River in Bangladesh, Yamuna River in India, Jordan River in Israel, Jordan, Yellow River in China, Marillo River in Philippines, Sarno River, Italy, Mississippi River, USA. So these are the important polluted rivers and polluted cities according to WHO, polluted cities and polluted rivers in the world. Ozone layer depletion. So ozone layer depletion, we know that when the sun emits radiation over a broad range of wavelength, to which human eye responds in the region of from approximately 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer. The maximum concentration of ozone is 0.5 parts per million. So when it occurs between the altitude of 20 to 35 kilometer, and this layer, and the layer at this level is called as ozone layer. The presence of ozone is essential for life on Earth. But stratospheric ozone layer absorbs dangerous UV rays of the sun and thus protects the surface from high energy radiation. Over the past decade, the ozone layer is thinning out because of man-made pollutants, which catalyzes the dissociation of ozone at a very fast rate. Major pollutant responsible for depletion of ozone are CFC, chlorofluorocarbon, hydrogen oxides, hydrocarbons, and oxides of carbon, chlorine, and bromine. Increased UV radiation would retard photosynthesis in plants. Moreover, it increases Earth's mean temperature, which would have disastrous consequence of flooding or submerging many low-lying islands. The Montreal Protocol adopted in the year 1987 and strengthened in 1990 called for phasing out CFC and other ozone depletion substances by 2000. Established rules governing international trades in ODS and their products. Adaptation, it involves stopping new development in low-lying coastal areas. Wait a minute. So these are some of the words and some of the points that to remember. We have discussed all this. Solid waste. Nuclear weapons. Since I'm running out of time.
Excuse me, ma'am, would you like to share your PPT with us?
Yeah, yes, ma'am, sure, ma'am, sure, ma'am. I have made many points and the time is
Your
not
PPT
enough
will
to complete
yes,
it.
yes, ma'am.
Definitely, it will be very useful. Whichever points I have made it bulletin, no, we need to give more stress on that.
Okay.
Actually, this topic, no, many of them we feel very dry and we won't concentrate much. But in general paper one, this unit, the number of questions will be more from this unit. Since it is the need of an hour, no? So without environment, we cannot imagine life. So definitely, many questions will be asked in this unit. Definitely, I will share it with the coordinators so that they will share it to you in the group. Sir, shall I continue or shall we wind up, sir? It is almost 8:20. That's why I
Ma'am,
stopped.
please
Yes.
share the PPT, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, is it possible to take another one class, ma'am?
Sir,
Yeah.
let me
Day
try,
after
sir.
tomorrow.
Let me try, sir. Let me try. Let me
Okay.
tell me the timing, sir. If it shoots, definitely I will come
Okay,
for one
ma'am.
more session. If not, I will share my PPT. Let them go through it. So
Okay.
only the highlight points have been emphasized. It is self-explanatory, and whichever points I have made bold, no, we need to give more stress on that. And all the topics were covered. All the topics, the entire unit was covered in all in the 76 slides. Please let me find, sir. If I have time, definitely I will pin you so that we can have a second session. Or else, let me share the PPT that the participants can go through it and can learn. Let me close now, I
Okay.
think, sir.
Okay.
Close now. Okay, it is
Okay.
almost 8:20. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for your patient listening. Thank you for the opportunity once again
Thank
for
you
the
so much, ma'am.
coordinators for
Thank you
this
for
one. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your strength and sharing your knowledge and energies.
Yes, true, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
really the
Much needed and
lot of information flashed through your presentation, ma'am.
Ma'am, you are continuously speaking from last 2.5 hours, ma'am.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
If it
Ma'am,
is,
your
if it is
content was
face to face, no, sir,
ma'am, your
it
PPT
will
and
be
the
more
content was a very
interactive.
detailed. Yes, ma'am, your content part was very detailing, and you are reading for the last 2.5 hours. But I joined little later because of a network issue. was whatever I could, understand was the content is very interesting and it's very informative.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your complimentary words. And definitely I'll share the PPT. The effort that was taken by the coordinator, if all the participants gone through the net, definitely it will be going to be a great credit for them, and under their shared, we'll also share the victory. Thank you so much.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
excuse
thank you
me,
so
ma'am.
much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, please.
Ma'am,
Ma'am, is there any difference between monotriol and quiotriol?
Yes, ma'am, they are different conferences. They are different.
Any importance, ma'am? Monotriol is important for ozone depletion. For that, it is formed. Na? In the same way, what is the importance of quiotriol, ma'am? Hello.
Kyoto.
Hello. Hello.
Ma'am, please ask the question.
Quiotriol is important for what, sir? Because
Ma'am, Kalaivani ma'am, are you there?
Wait a minute, 1 minute. Let me.
Yes.
when I'm going through the question papers, I come across with this question, sir. That's why I'm asking.
Wait, wait.
In the meanwhile,
Ma'am, Kyoto protocol is mainly focused to address the climatic change by reducing the greenhouse gas emission. It is mainly focused to reduce the green gas emission in the atmosphere. This Kyoto protocol was adopted in the year December 11, 1997 in Kyoto, Japan.
Okay, okay.
It is for reducing greenhouse
Gases,
effect.
Greenhouse gases, quiotriol.
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. For ozone depletion, monotriol.
Monotriol. Yes, you are right.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
ma'am, thanks a lot, ma'am. Participant definitely may grasp a lot of information from your presentation. I think definitely they will attempt all the 5 questions from this unit. So on behalf of organizing team, and we thank participant, we thank your wonderful insight, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So dear participant, yeah, a lot of participants, they are asked in the WhatsApp, they want to grasp the same with another resource person. So for that, we have arranged another resource person for the same topic. So tomorrow we are arranged the for the unit 1 teaching aptitude. The resource person from Dr. C. Renuka Devi, assistant professor, Mother Teresa Women's University, Kodaikanal. So kindly join the meeting at morning 10 o'clock, madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.